It's Sunday, November 17, 2024. This is Nation Watch. I'm your host, Mervyn Williams, welcoming you and thanking you for joining us. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, we're on. This is Nation Watch. Many things are happening across our country. You will remember 4-day morning, before cock crow, some people had to leave their beds and attend a meeting. Well, the old people say, and you know the old people are always right. The old people say, when man can't talk strong a house, you pick fight a road, yeah? So it appears as though somebody who doesn't have a powerful voice at the level of cabinet may have taken the fight to the public space. Many are asking the question, if all ministers were invited, where was Mr. Jagdeo? Because the Constitution says that any minister can be named a vice president. Not every vice president can be named a minister. You must first be a minister before you be a vice president. So, where was Mr. Jagdeo at this 5:30, where people were locked out for coming late and so on? How does my friend Minister Manikchan feel about being berated publicly for the world to see, not just for contractors, colleague ministers, permanent secretaries, and consultants to see, but for the entire world to see? How does Dr. Ashni Kumar Singh feel, having been berated publicly? The Priya Manikchan that I know, the Ashni Kumar Singh that I know, Dr. Ashni Kumar Singh, logically would have resigned having been treated that way publicly by someone to whom they were senior not so long ago, but someone who became highly favored because he's easily manipulated by another power. When a country comes to a place in time where the head of state, the head of government must step down below the level of his ministers, below the level of his permanent secretaries, to meet with contractors and consultants to deal with issues, something is either wrong with the president or his entire government. Well, fish rots from the head, so I believe that explains it. But what is very clear to me, and what is very clear to many Guyanese who are open-minded, is that the level of disrespect demonstrated by Mr. Ali for professionals tells you the kind of person he is on the inside. When a president of a country, let alone a CEO of a business or a company, calls his staff out and insults them, shouts at them, belittles them, dehumanizes them, something must be fundamentally wrong. And if Guyanese citizens, professional public servants, professionals in their respective fields across the spectrum, saw what happened at 5:30 that Tuesday morning and still vote for the People's Progressive Party, something else is wrong. Minister Priya Manikchan, Dr. Ashni Kumar Singh, you have my sympathy. You have my sympathy. But another interesting point to note is that when a head of government goes on the world stage and boasts that the country he leads is among the richest in the world, with equal opportunity for all, with the fastest growing economy this side of the world, with one of the highest GDP per capita anywhere in the world. When such a president can preside over such a country and find a place in another developed country or in a developed country for his parents to live, something is wrong, either with what the president is preaching publicly or what the president is doing. The two do not agree. If you are presiding over the best country in the world, why are your parents living in Canada? Why don't they live here with us? Enjoy the quality health care that you brag about. Enjoy the public services available to us in this country that you brag about. Enjoy the kind of security in their homes that we have to live with, that you brag about to be the best, ever declining rates of serious crime. But you send your parents abroad to live. Why do you not allow them to share this space with us in this richest country in this part of the world, in this fastest growing economy in this part of the world? Why did you send them away where there's universal health care? Why did you send them away where security is assured? Why didn't you keep them here or encourage them to stay here? Something is fundamentally wrong, and the Guyanese citizens must see this and see the People's Progressive Party and see Irfan Ali and see Bar Jagdeo for who and what they are. And while they sit on their high horses and preach one thing, practice another, in the richest country in this part of the world, populated by the most poor people anywhere this side of the world, percentage-wise, their little minions continue to bully people across this country. Yes. Corruption in this country is rampant. Allegations of corruption at the level of the police force that must enforce the laws of this country. Troubling times. More people being shot, more people being robbed, armed robbery on the increase, but yet serious crimes are on the decline. We're not foolish. We're not foolish. The richest country with the most poor people, that's our reality. The richest country with the highest level of poverty, that's our reality. A democracy that they talk about that involves the establishment of a massive rigging scheme, MRS, remember it, massive rigging scheme, the refusal to give the people of this country a clean voters list, the first embrace of a clean voters list when they lost the elections, and now their rejection of our demand for the same, their rejection for biometrics in the form of capturing fingerprints digitally, storing them and using them to identify people at the place of poll, the establishment of some app or the other to capture people's information under the guise of paying out individual cash grants to adult Guyanese, which in the first place was designed for Guyanese resident in Guyana. But they are using this as a guise to establish a parallel database for rigging purposes. And then they say Williams don't want Guyanese to get money. I say 100,000 is too little, too late. That's what I say. But I equally emphasize that they are using it as a vehicle for a massive rigging scheme. Prove me wrong, Jagdio. Prove me wrong, Ali. Prove me wrong, GCOM. And this is why some in the diaspora who support the People's Progressive Party are demanding that they send people in the United States to pay the 100,000 Guyana dollars cash grant to them in the US. It is the capturing of information for the purposes of a massive rigging scheme. But the minions, while Mr. Ali sits and insults professional public servants, professional technical people in the engineering and other fields, ministers and public servants, permanent secretaries, his minions in the villages believe that they can do the same. I live in Iflot. If you didn't know, Ocean View, Iflot. A village that is held to be a PPP stronghold. President Donald Ramotar's mother had a home there. His brothers had homes there. I'm not sure if he did. But this is a place where PPP sentiments are strong. And there are some in that village who believe that they have authority equal to the office of president in this country. When for years the front street in that village was in a state of disrepair because of abuse by heavy trucks, the ministers ran in there to get their support and the people rejected them. 1 week later, a contract was given for the reconstruction of this road. A relatively new one it was before it was destroyed. And the work was done. And the parapet was graded. And Gaisuku, who had responsibility for clearing the drainage canal, excavated the soil, the slush from the canal and moved it. The road building contractor completed his road task and cleared the shoulder of the road right down to the trench and said to people that it has to remain like that to ensure that the integrity of the road remains intact. But there's this one contractor who believes that he's above the law, parks his trucks wherever he wants, encroaches on people's space, disrespects people, including me. This is where this gentleman lives. He lives in the 2nd Street. You notice that truck parked there? That truck is parked in front is the neighbor, to the east of his house. And you can see in the image there, a trailer put on some drums. That is in front of his neighbor to the west. And across the road, you can see another truck parked, or part of a truck dumped across the road. That's in front of his neighbor to the north. And if you look carefully, you'd see that nothing is parked in front of his house. Nothing is parked in front of his house. But 3 neighbors, east, west, and north, have their parapets encumbered by his vehicles. This is the street to the side where his fancy pickup truck is parked in such a way that the vehicle left of screen could not pass. Material had to be removed from the side of the road for the vehicle left of screen to pass. And he only removed his truck, his pickup truck, when one of his huge trucks had to pass. This 2 blocks away from where he lives, 2 blocks in front of the mechanic. This truck has been parked there for a year. The mechanic has been asking him to remove it. 1 year has passed and it hasn't been removed. Other people in this country, when they encumber the parapets like this, the authorities move the derelict vehicles and dump them. Having cleared the shoulders of the roadway, the newly constructed roadway, this gentleman brings builder's waste from some road I understand he has a contract to build. I'm not sure about that, but there's a video that you're going to see where he brings dirt and dumps it at the edge of the trench by night, like a thief in the night, after everyone should have been in bed. Dumps stuff that will prevent proper drainage from the shoulder of the road and eventually find its way into the drainage canal that taxpayers must pay to maintain. This is the nature of some of the PPP's minions. And when villagers went to the Neighborhood Democratic Council to complain about what's happening, other truck drivers and truck owners were instructed by the NDC of Tushin Iflut to remove their vehicles and to cease and desist from parking their vehicles in front of people's homes and on the reserves across the road from people's homes. But this one has never been spoken to. A concerned resident went all the way to the NDC again and complained as recent as 2 days ago. Complained to a councillor there and was told, he alleges that this person said to him that they can't tell this man anything because this man's wife and the first lady are friends. Only the president can tell this man to cease and desist from doing wrong things in the community. Only the president. And the Neighborhood Democratic Council is a creature of statute. It is the local government authority. And it nor its officers can tell this contractor nothing because his wife allegedly is a good friend of the First Lady. And therefore, only the president can tell him anything. Well, Mr. President, please tell him something. He's destroying brand new infrastructure that we have paid for, and quite possibly that resulted in some amount of corrupt kickbacks. And we can't afford to rebuild the road again, neither will we condone the behavior of this man. Please speak to him if only you can. Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday evening, last night, the People's National Congress Reform held a public meeting at Calcutta in Maikoni. It was like therapy for the community members. They wanted it so badly. They were hungry for information from the leadership of the parliamentary opposition. They were expectant. They held high hopes, and their hopes were not dashed or disappointed. Because the team led by Aubrey Compton Norton, leader of the People's National Congress Reform and leader of the parliamentary opposition, interacted with the residents of Region 5 who were gathered at Calcutta last night prior to the meeting, address them in the course of the meeting, and mingle thereafter. We will bring you first a very, very important presentation made by Mr. Norton to a very, very important young woman to Region 5 and Guyana. Mr. Norton tells us the story of this young lady and tells us what he and the People's National Congress Reform intends to do, committed to do, and has started to do for her.
I heard there is a young lady around who I understand had a very unfortunate situation. I hope I'm free to say it. I got pregnant at a very young age. But having done that, she went back to school and she taught the CXC in the school. And I recall very clear while we were in government, we had put mechanisms in place for children who find themselves in that unfortunate position to go back to school. And so I want to invite her as somebody who would have done it and succeeded.
That's fair. That's fair.
I also understand that she is enrolled at the University of Guyana.
Wow.
And will begin what she has begun to do, the, I think, degree in dentistry. I want to say this to you, as a party, we are committed to help her throughout her first year. And we anticipate by the second year we will be in government and all things will be well. I want to say congratulations to the young lady.
The marked difference between the People's National Congress Reform and the People's Progressive Party. The PPP is noted for bullying, for crushing, for destroying, and for only attending to their self-interests. Here is a classic story, a classic success story of a young woman who, without the relevant support, without the requisite support, could have fallen by the wayside. But thanks to her persistence, thanks to her dedication, thanks to the support of her family and her friends, and now the support of the People's National Congress Reform, she is destined for great things, a powerful and moving story. Now we move on to some conversations we had last evening at Calcutta. In fact, we will take a clip from one of the presentations because we did not get an opportunity to speak with this presenter after the program, after the actual public meeting. And so we will bring you a clip from the presentation of Coretta McDonald, MP, and I believe AA.
Who will take us into 2025 as a united people. One people, one nation, one destiny. Not no one Guyana. The teachers can't get a proper salary. The nurses can't get a proper salary. When the police, some of them could get more than proper salary. Some of them are touching the salary for 10 years. Well, man, look. Every time the PPP come around, they are in shambles. Education in crisis, you just heard my colleague spoke about it. When you have a minister of education who doesn't know the parts of speech, you will understand. I want to say to you, comrades, that Guyana cannot be a paradise when local people cannot survive. When we can't live here in comfort, Guyana can't be the country with the fastest growing economy. But what we know is that there are an elite group of persons who know how to live the good life. You notice they're copying a whole lot of things from us. Burnham introduced rice flour because of the man's knowledge and his intelligence and making us self-sufficient. They barter Burnham. But just the other day they're praising rice flour, you notice? Because it would be war unto us if we allow the PPP one more term in this country. The PPP are no good for this country. The PPP closed the sugar estates, and now they're blaming the PNC and the coalition for suffering sugar workers. When you talk about lie, call the PPP. When the rich rob the poor, it's called business. But when the poor fight back, it's called violence. Well, we can let them know that we ain't calling it violence, and it's not violence. It is honor that we are taking back.
That was Coretta McDonald MP. You know, while I was speaking about the minions of the PPP, there's a comment that popped up from somebody named Patrick Sicheran. I don't know which hole Mr. Sicheran has pushed his head into, but he's contending that the police are independent, and that's not a government issue. I'm trying to read the exact, just could we get the comments down a little bit? I want to, but here's Mr. Sicheran saying that the police are independent and they're not a government problem. Well, Mr. Sicheran, there's a Minister of Home Affairs who superintends the functions of the Guyana Police Force. Now, if the police is not a government problem, Mr. Sicheran, why is there a minister responsible for policing? Mr. Sicheran, the safety, health, happiness, security of the citizens of this country are the responsibilities of government. The safety of people in society is a responsibility of the government, Mr. Sicheran. The police are not independent. That's why there is a police complaints authority. That is why there's a police service commission. That is why there is a Minister of Home Affairs who reports to a president who's the head of the government, Mr. Sicheran. Let's move on with conversations from Calcutta. Our Calcutta conversations will begin now. These are conversations we had with folks at yesterday's public meeting following its conclusion at Calcutta in Maikoni. Who have come from near and far to participate. With me is Riaz Rupnarain, coming all the way from Region 2. Riaz comes from Region 2, lives and works in Region 4, and he is here in Region 5 having brought a message to the people. Riaz, your take on this very, very important visit to Region 5 this Saturday night.
Well, the visit is as crucial as any other area, but more so within this particular region in the past couple of weeks. They have had significant persecution by the government, and more so in areas that they deem that are not fully supported by us. But at the end of the day, they are Guyanese, and we are all going through this, so we will always have their backs in battle.
You spoke tonight, and you brought a message of hope to the people. Do you get a sense that there's a hunger for a change in this country, particularly in this region, having interacted with the folks here, having felt and seen and experienced their reaction to your presentation tonight?
Oh yes, that was inevitable, because many of the persons are going through things and they don't realize that it is across the country that's happening. So when they hear from speakers like myself who will traverse areas across this country and bring that message, they realize that it is not one, an isolated issue with them alone, and two, that we have solidarity in our, for want of a better word, misery. But I spoke mainly in regards to education, because when we came here the last time we had discussion with them, one of the primary things that they talked about was the persecution they felt within the school systems, both as teachers and the students, because the parents complained significantly that their students were awarded top schools in Georgetown, but because they can't afford to go, and not only the fees to pay the bus, but they have to get up early in the morning, and that's a condition that they don't want to put their children in. But just because now they feel as though they would have shortened their children's possibility of a good future. So if we actually had a proper education system where it is equal and universally accepted by everybody, then that would have been an issue that we would have faced in the first place. They could have attended a school right here in Region 5 and have the opportunities as those children just the same in Georgetown.
Riaz, you're a member, an elected member of the Central Executive Committee of the People's National Congress Reform. Tell us how you feel about being elected as a young person, as a young professional, to that top decision-making body of almost 70-year-old political party, a party with a rich history, a party that is all-embracing. How does it make you feel that at this tender age, I'd say tender in terms of political age, how does it feel to be involved in making policy, moving forward to take this country to its rendezvous with prosperity?
Well, to say honor might be an understatement, but I can't think of any better word than that right now, because first of all, for many years, even outside in the public, the party has been perceived as a predominantly African Guyanese-based party. So to see first, not only am I given the opportunity as a young person to represent the votes and the positions of these people within that, our comrades within the length and breadth of Guyana, but more so that an East Indian has been able to sit on the central executive, and I am not the only one. It's a large makeup of us. So it is so humbling and honoring that the position has been tasked to me like this, that I not only get to represent my community that I came from, but holistically every single person that has wanted this position. So sometimes it's heavy, that is the head that wears the crown as well some days too.
Riaz Rupnarain, executive member of the People's National Congress Reform, talking to us here in our Calcutta conversation tonight, a good Saturday night following a good public meeting. Riaz, thank you very much for talking to Nation Watch. Our political party, the People's National Congress Reform, finds that young people are the movers and shakers, not of the future, but of the present. And therefore, young folks like Riaz, young folks like Trevon and so on, who you'll hear from now, need to be given the space, need to be given the opportunity to grow in their respective leadership roles. And Aubrey Norton is known for being a person who encourages the growth and development of young people, whether it's in academia, in politics, or generally in life. Aubrey Norton is known to be that person who facilitates the growth and development of young people. And there are countless young folks and not so young folks out there who can attest to this. Trevon Chichester is our next guest on Calcutta Conversations. Continuing along tonight, Saturday night, with our Calcutta Conversation, Trevon Chichester joins me now. He is, at minimum, a second-generation PNC youngster. I know his mother very well. She's a long-serving member of the People's National Congress Reform, a wonderful woman, a very, very kind and personable woman, your mother. Tell us briefly the story of your involvement in politics.
My involvement started many years ago in secondary school, actually.
That's where I started too.
That's well, right.
Publicly, that is.
You know, I went to secondary school in King Grove, which is a predominantly People's Progressive Party civic stronghold. And I recall the challenges that the folks were having there, and I would ask them, why do you keep on supporting a political party so forcefully when it practically does nothing for you? And I started campaigning then. This would have been sometime around 2002 for the PNC then. And I took that activism with me to Trinidad when I studied there, encouraging Guyanese there to come back home and to vote in our elections until eventually I joined my neighborhood Democratic Council. And I've been on the go since, and I don't plan to stop.
You are an elected member of the Neighborhood Democratic Council.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the work you do, the challenges you face. How do you overcome them?
Okay, so this is the second time I'm being elected to sit in the Neighborhood Democratic Council, and we are holding a minority position within the council, but in the community we hold a majority voice. I believe in defending the principles we stand for, which is putting people first, and I fight daily with the oppressive measures of the People's Progressive Party Civic. They would have introduced new taxes that raised the taxes actually on people in the community, and they would have tried to place that blame on me, quite interestingly, but the people would have seen through that. So daily we are fighting with them to ensure that the NDC represents everyone within our communities and not just a select few. Just the other day, a woman was having a challenge in a PPP stronghold, quite interestingly, where a neighbor who is a relative of a sitting minister is rearing close to 200 sheep right at the back of her house, and this odor is affecting her. Trying to get the environmental health officers, the EPA, and other persons to step in proved to be a very hard task. So I had to step in, and our council has made a decision now. Although it's a PPP control council, they had to agree with Chapter 2002 that we have a responsibility to ensure that this woman lives peacefully. So I fight tooth and nail with the PPP to ensure that the people get their freedoms and their rights.
You're a member of General Council in the People's National Congress Reform. You are an elected member of an NDC. You're a young person, up-and-coming leader.
Yes.
How do you see your future in politics?
Well, someone said to me tonight, you know, sir, don't be surprised if you become the next president of our country.
There you go. There you go.
I do not intend to end my advocacy. I do not intend to ever give up in my fight. The APNU, PNC-led government is my hope, because I know that we have the vision to carry our country forward, and I stand resolutely behind our leader, Aubrey Norton.
Which of the villages in Maikoni do you come from? Calcutta itself, is it?
I come from Cottage, actually.
From Cottage?
Yes, I come from Cottage.
Okay, and you now live where?
Well, I'm still living there.
Still in Cottage.
Still living in Cottage.
So, in the Calcutta conversation, we have Trevon Chichester from Cottage, an active participant in the daily political, social, and economic life of this community, advocating for the rights of people, advocating for an improved quality of life for all in his neighborhood. He is doing a remarkable job. Trevon, thank you very much for speaking with Nation Watch.
And thank you for having me.
Most welcome.
All right, Dave.
I'm sure we'll have you again sometime soon.
I look forward to it.
Region 5 is on the rise.
It is. We are
Thanks
rising
again.
up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Another young leader emerging. And we now bring you a conversation with a known young leader. He has been out there, he has been doing the work. He is recognized as one of the fighters, one of the foot soldiers, leading by example in his region, in the agricultural sector, at the national level, party vice chairman, pastor, politician, shadow minister of agriculture, Vince Roy Jordan, now joins Nation Watch on Calcutta Conversations. We are in the village of Calcutta in Maikoni, and this is Region 5. We just completed a successful public political meeting at which the message of the People's National Congress Reform, and by extension a partnership of for national unity, has been delivered to the people of this community and farther afield. With me is Vince Roy Jordan, Member of Parliament, Vice Chairman of the People's National Congress Reform, Vince Roy, what's your reaction to the turnout for this meeting this evening?
Well, Mervyn, I must start by saying that the people are sensible and the people have grown over the years. Through their challenges, they've recognized who really cares about them. And so the turnout we had here tonight is as a result of that. I knew from my groundwork that the people are prepared to support or to continue rather supporting the coalition. And I believe that they are confident enough that come 2025 when they cast their ballots, the coalition will return to office.
You've been active on the ground in the region, meeting people where they live, where they congregate for religious services, where they work. You have been in schools where there have been violence against teachers. You have been in schools where there have been violence, children against children, bullying, and this kind of thing. And you have been in the farmlands. How would you assess the conditions of Region 5 at the moment under the People's Progressive Party?
It is in bad shape, terrible. In a simple phrase, Region 5 is no better than 2014 when we took office. The PPP has returned Region 5 to the state whereby people are now wondering what next. Who must we turn to? Where must we go?
Has that decision not been taken
and
yet?
That's what I'm coming to. And that is why it is assured in the minds of Guyanese that especially those in Region 5, that the coalition is the only hope. I'll share, for example, yesterday, our residents were at a point where some of them were in tears because of the incompetence, the negligence, the wickedness, I would want to see, of the People's Progressive Party. The entire Calcutta, Catherine, Recess, Aerial, Novar community was flooded. And the People's Progressive Party turned their backs on the people. The Minister of Agriculture came into this community and refused to visit, refused to enter the homes of our Guyanese citizens. And so, Region 5 is in a bad place.
And the solution to the troubles of Region 5, where do you see the solutions? How do you see yourself being involved in bringing solutions?
Well, I have been doing a lot of work on the ground. I have been talking to our residents, encouraging them, directing them to channels where they would bring solutions to some of their problems. But more so, I encourage them that let us remain focused and let us remain fighting for the just cause of ensuring that the coalition returns to office. And once they are educated, once they remain focused, and once they ensure that they complete the task at the end of the day when the elections are called, and the coalition returning to office, I see myself, the party that I belong to, and the government that we will form as the best option to helping the people of Guyana.
Vince Roy Jordan, Member of Parliament, Vice Chairman of the People's National Congress Reform, serving his second term in that capacity. Thank you very much, Vince Roy.
Thank you very much
for talking with Nation Watch.
And thank you very much for being in Region 5 too.
Well, my country, my home.
That's right.
Thanks again.
Yes, thank you.
Young leaders of the People's National Congress Reform, future leaders of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. And for those who either are incapable of understanding very simple language and are contributing to the comment section with whatever intention in mind, may I advise our regular viewers or intelligent viewers, don't be distracted. These conversations took place after a successful public meeting. You cannot see a crowd if the meeting is over. And no, the only valid statements of polls are in the possession of the magistracy, having regard to an ongoing series of court cases. So whoever in the comment section wants to see statements of Paul, go see the chief magistrate. Demand it from there and see the treatment you get for your brilliance. We move on with our conversations from Calcutta, and we continue to speak with leaders from Region 5. Following a meeting. Calcutta conversation, we spoke with folks from Region 5, we spoke with a gentleman from Region 2, and now we're going to talk with a gentleman from Region 6 who is here tonight. Anil Sugrim, an elected member of the Central Executive Committee of the People's National Congress Reform. Anil, you are on fire tonight.
Oh, yes, sir. I love to. I love to.
You arouse the interest of the audience here tonight. You hit some salient points and you activated the enthusiasm of the crowd, the message you brought to them in the language that they speak and understand. Very simple, very effective. You know, they say you have to be careful when you put a microphone in the hand of a politician or a preacher, and you're both.
All
so
right.
Talk to us about what's happening in your political life at the moment.
Well, you know, we are pursuing a cause for a better Guyana. You know, I have found for many years under the PPP, we are not going anywhere. You know, even East Indians that supported the People's National Congress are being victimized, marginalized, prosecuted, suppressed, because they felt that you should not be supporting or be a part of the People's National Congress. But importantly, I see it as a political party that do have inclusiveness, whereby you are treated fairly, whether you're Afro-Guyanese, whether you're an East Indian, whether you are indigenous, Guyanese, or a mix of various different ethnic culture or race in this country. You have been treated fairly by the particular leadership that is now headed by R.B. Norton. And I am very much satisfied the way forward this political party intends to take this country.
You're doing a lot of field work in Region 6, Anil. Well, how are people in Region 6 responding? There's this perception that Region 6 is a PPP stomping ground, and that, you know, we are, as a political party, not going to receive the kind of support. But I'm hearing different things from the work that you and the team there in Region 6 are doing.
You know, the PPP most of the times, you know, want people to believe in their propaganda and their lies that they keep spreading. And you know, the lies catch on to people, and some people find themselves dragged into it, believing the lie to be the truth. But you know, working in several communities, there are lots of mixed community in Region 6, working in many of those communities, from house to house, talking to people. There are lots of people that would have supported or voted for the PPP is dissatisfied with the way they operate. In particular, in the way that they've been giving this cash grant. You know, in the upper quarantine, there are about 5 times that the PPP would have give cash grant. They would have give chicken and chicken feed. They would have built chicken coop. They would have give fertilizer and paddy and seedlings and all of that. But it's the same people that is a beneficiary of regardless of what they give out. And so the thing goes in a cycle whereby if this time the wife get it, the next time the husband get it, the other time the daughter-in-law get it, the next time the son-in-law get it.
So there's
Or-
discrimination in the allocation of those resources.
Right, because it's only going in a cycle to particular families. And so that brings discontentment and dissatisfaction in those neighborhoods and communities and streets where you have other East Indian people, even people who are going to shout out and said, we would have worked for the PPP, we would have voted for the PPP, and we ain't getting nothing. So what we're going to do, we're not going to vote anymore for them. Because, you know, we didn't get a fair share of what particular family get. Another thing that you find is that the people that used to be the foot soldiers and ground soldiers and the seniors in the PPP, they have been pushed aside.
So you are seeing some disenchantment. Do you see that the work that you are doing is attracting people, disgruntled people who didn't support us before, coming towards the People's National Congress reform and giving us a stronger platform for winning the next election?
Well, I would say there are a percentage of them that will come and support us, but they're not doing that. They would not do it publicly. They're scared of doing it publicly. They are scared of interacting and operating with you, but there are some that we can count on their votes because, you know, they're scared that their 10-day work will be taken away. They're scared that either their spouses is going to be victimized. They're scared, you know, to walk freely and act freely because of how the PPP activists will threaten them, you know, in the circumstances that they're finding themselves in.
Anil Sugrim, Executive Member of the People's National Congress Reform, a fighter for Region 6 and an advocate tonight in Region 5. Thank you very much, Anil, for talking with Nation
You're most
Watch.
welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. We continue with Calcutta conversation. We will be speaking with another councillor from the area, from the Neighborhood Democratic Council. I think Junior Joseph is his name. Can we go directly there and have that, our final Calcutta conversation from last night at Calcutta Maikoni, following meaning after the successful completion of a public political meeting. What's the title of the council?
Parker Barry and
Right. So we are in Calcutta. This conversation is taking place just after the completion of a successful public meeting. Talk to us, Mr. Henry, about what's happening in Region 5.
What's happening in this NDC is that we are experiencing an unequitable distribution of what is there to offer by the government. In terms of, if you take a look around this NDC and you go into areas like Dundee, Novar, Good Faith, which is predominantly PPP supporters, you find the streets there are well paved and almost all of the streets there are well done. When you come into a community like our community here, Little Barry, Catherine, Calcutta Recess, you find that a lot of the streets are left in a mud state. So that is one of the problems facing us here. And yesterday we had an issue where the schools of the Barry give way. And the main reason why that happened is not because of the high tides only, but it was because of failure by the authorities in terms of
lack of maintenance.
Yeah. And coupled with the lack of maintenance, the issue that caused it to happen is that the coke attendant, because I was one of the first persons who reached there, he told me that he was instructed by someone from the MMA who was influenced by the rice farmers in the backlands of Catherine, Barry, and those places, to drain the Burma Canal, which is connected to the Bellamy Canal. He said I asked him to drain it the night before, plus he drained on the other tide, which was yesterday. So by draining that canal, you find that the water on the canal side, on the Bellamy Canal, it was very low. So the force from the tide, seeing that it was a spring tide, very high spring tide, the force on the other side of the sluice, it was too much for the sluice door, and when there's no force on the other side because the water was low, it forced the sluice door out. That caused the massive flooding in the
Talk to
community.
us about the impact of that flood on community members, homes, families.
yes, it was very impactful because most of the homes at the backland, the back, we call it the seaside, in the Barry, Catherine, Calcutta, Recess, Nuvar, they were flooded. And not only the homes were flooded, but the people's gardens and the livestock were on.
Right, so there ends our Calcutta conversations from last night following the completion of a successful public political meeting or political public meeting, whichever you prefer. We will close today's Nation Watch program with a clip from the presentation of Honorable Aubrey Compton Norton, leader of the People's National Congress Reform and leader of the parliamentary opposition, as he addressed a fair-sized crowd last night at Calcutta, Maikoni.
Got to end it.
They argue when I said they are incompetent, that they aren't incompetent. But the evidence is there to suggest they are incompetent. We just talked about the blackout.
Yes.
Incompetence. How you could go to the National Assembly and say, I will give every household $200,000 instantaneously. He must memorize the whole calendar. But the minute he finished saying that, the boss came behind and said, we can do it, little boy. It can take 5 months.
Yes.
And as the battle continues in the PPP, if one come out again and say you're getting it before the end of the year, I don't know which of the two fools to believe.
You don't know which one.
That is a manifestation of their incompetence.
Yep.
I recall when they announced the 200,000 per household. I said to them, you need to define a household. We don't want you to do what you did during COVID. When you are in your strongholds, you give them based on household, and when you come to every NUFC stronghold, you then start to shout, you have to own the property. He has different strokes for different folks, so we're not accepting that. And now, the president said, we will start first with the pensioners and the public servants. And as he got in the room, we're talking about they're getting up names. And for the people who got ID card, they can find some means of identifying them. They're into thieving again. That's all they know, comrade. They know how to thief.
Yes.
But when it comes to managing this country, they don't know. And therefore, we have to vote them out.
Vote them out.
Guyana cannot survive another year with the People's Progressive Party. And to vote them out, I want to repeat what Barry Jack Bill said in 2015 when he lost. We need biometrics and a clean voter. Now me says so, he says so. And then he starts to run from his own words. You know, the man even getting stupid. The man telling you know what we mean by improved biometrics. You don't take the tongue. All we're saying, digitalize everything, ensure you have the database, and on election day, you're going to have a little machine like this in your hand. And when people put their tongue, if they would have voted already, they will be rejected. Because no two we got the same tongue. But you know, he frightened them.
I know.
He frightened them bad.
He frightened them bad.
Teeth man like light. And that is light. And so, we want biometrics. And we need a clean voters list because if you give all of them ID card, who is or who is illegal, it means when they put it on, it can show us them. But they really qualify to be on the list. So we want a clean voters list in which only the people who are entitled to vote are placed on that list. And we will fight for it. And we say there's a third thing we need. We need Clarkson to go up behind the We want her to go up because we have anything against her personally, but because she has made herself a tool, a poodle of the People's Progressive Party, and therefore she cannot deliver free and fair elections, and so she must go. And you notice how I was saying it? Go. That means she must go in peace. We need to see the back of this woman. We cannot continue with an elections commission which is supposed to be impartial, and all she does is vote with the PPP. Clearly, you cannot have an independent and impartial elections commission headed by that woman. So, it is clear, it is very clear that she has to go. I don't care much about the battle between Bharat and Ilfa. But when it affects our country, we have to be concerned. And I'm saying to you daily, you see it, that as the two of them battle, Guyana is getting deeper into trouble. Every day, you can see their incompetence. I drove down a road in Prashad Nagar, a new road. They don't officially open it yet, but it got a big hole. A hole done in margin. I want to say this to you, don't be carried away. I expect them to do every street on the coast because they have money to do it. And the street should be done. But it is said that because of their incompetence, we can be doing those same streets again.
All we have time for today on this edition of Nation Watch. I'd like to, as I always do, thank our viewers for joining us from wherever you are and for staying the course of the program. Nation Watch continues to work for you, to bring information to you. And next Sunday, God willing, we plan to look at some aspects of the economy and where Guyana is going. So until we meet again next Sunday, God bless.